We're live again. What's going on, guys? I don't know if you're just over at John Wilburn's channel. We were just doing a live with him. As soon as John gets in here, I got to show him something. I have an early Hemi souvenir of my own. Let's see. Doug Narden says the Hemi 6 is the only living example of the ball stud Hemi program. Is it? Interesting. Jason's Garage, Stang Lincoln, George Bonnie, what's going on? Mopar Dan, welcome back, brother man. Bruce W. Al Johnson, Art. Bodgemeister. I like that. That's a good name. Bodgemeister. Matt Horn, having a great Sunday. I went to the. I actually had a great Sunday. I went to the Buttercup Festival with my granddaughters, so that was fun, right? It was crowded, it was packed. I mean, there had thousands of people there, and yeah, the Buttercup Festival. There were no buttercups though. There were a bunch of food trucks. The kids rode around with some horses and everything, but I couldn't find any buttercups. But it was fun. It was really fun. Ben Smith, Miata progress. I just did a video on the Miata day before yesterday. Kevin, what's happening, Kevin? Benjamin, what's going on? DD Speed Shop, what's happening, brother man? Oh, thank you. Upgrading to drum brakes by trading disc. I like your style. It's for a bottle rocket. And I got disc brakes on the front of the car. The disc brake setup, the Chrysler disc brake setup, weighs about 30 pounds more total, right? All of the various pieces than the regular drum brake. Even the proportional valve is huge and heavy and like cast iron, right? So there's like almost a 30-pound difference between the two setups, and there's no drag from the drums. You know, anytime you're building a car to go fast, right? You want drums on the thing. You want discs on it if you want to stop fast. I don't really care about stopping. I want to go. Chris Greenaway, you're liking the daily uploads with the same quality. It's so much easier. The reason we moved into that shop, which isn't really a shop, it's a studio, you know? So the reason we moved in there is to make it easier to do videos, you know? So we try to do one a day. We didn't do one today, but we'll do one tomorrow. Big Red Channel 20, you're hooked on DD. It's easy to get hooked on his channel. They're just wonderful people. He does such cool things. Didi, I hear you're going to get so much flack over keeping drums. Bro, anybody who gives you shit about keeping drum brakes, ask them what's on all of the big rigs that's on the road and why they use them. Oh, it's mostly all parts. Ron Ward. Okay, Ron, just hang on 1 second, right? DD Speed Shop. Drum brakes, right? So if you're talking about a one-stop deal, okay, we even a two-stop deal. But let's just say you're going to stop a car from 100 miles an hour, okay? The drum brakes will get you there faster and easier than discs. That's why, I mean, drum brakes don't require a power booster, generally speaking, where disc brakes do. It takes that much more pedal effort for a disc brake to go. The advantage disc brakes have is repeated stops. So in other words, like the first time you take a disc brake car and you take a drum brake car and you stop them both from, let's say, 75 miles an hour. If it doesn't lock up the wheels, that drum brake car is going to stop first. The second stop, the disc brake is going to be able to outdo it because the disc brake dissipates heat. That's the only advantage to a disc brake. It dissipates heat even faster than the drum brake does. Okay, so mostly old parts. So I want to bring attention to that's my friend Ron Ward. Okay, Ron was one of the originators of Uncle Tony's Garage, which, as I said in that video, before we were a YouTube channel, we were a podcast, and the podcast was consisted of you know Uncle Kathy and I, who is no longer called Uncle Kathy. Her name now is Ultra Kathy. Okay, so because there was a lot of confusion about Uncle. Why do you call her Uncle Kathy, right? So you know UK. So you know it's no longer Uncle Kathy. It's Ultra Kathy.
I prefer that.
You prefer Ultra? Okay. So yeah. So from now on, it's Ultra Kathy. Okay. But anyway, Ron Ward, along with Jovial J. Renski, and Eric Jackson, who's an absolute carburetor guru. You guys need any like really crazy, rare, exotic carburetors done, like over the top stuff? Well, that's what Eric Jackson does. If you've got like a one of a kind, like $1 million carburetor, and you need it restored to like exactly how it came out of. Well, that Eric Jackson is the guy you want to talk to for that. VintageMuscleCarParts.com. So anyway, those three people, along with us, were the original Uncle Tony's Garage, and it was a podcast. So, but it went nowhere except like right down the toilet. I mean, we worked on it hard for like 6 months. It was crazy, and it was very hard. It was much harder to do a podcast than it was to do video.
Yeah.
So Ron Ward was one of the originators of Uncle Tony's Garage. Uncle Tony's Garage would not exist if it wasn't for the input and the support of Ron Ward when we first got started here. So he started a channel. He's doing Mopar stuff. The channel is called Mostly Old Parts. Right, which okay, so there's a couple of different Mopar things, right? Mostly Old Parts and Rust Mopar. My favorite is My Old Pig Ain't Running, right? But yeah, Mostly Old Parts. So go over there now, right? Stop whatever you're doing. Stop listening to me babble, okay? And go over there and please go give him a sub and hit the button, ring the button, and with the bell. You do the bell or the button, whatever it is. Just go to Mostly Old Parts and do whatever you have to do to get the maximum effect out of it. I'll wait here quietly while you do that.
I think they're done.
No, there's a couple of them that are still lagging. Yeah, that guy right there. Who's
lagging?
That guy.
Baby coffee. He's got his coffee. Working good.
Shh. They're going over the runs and they're subbing. Okay, Mostly Old Parts. So, okay. All right, I guess you're all done. There you go. And John Wilburn just put the link up there. All right. Uncle Kathy, why is that coffee so dark? It looks like a cup. You brought me a cup of doom, hate. Yeah, you brought me a cup of hate. Why'd you do that? So John Wilburn.
I'm Kathy. I'm Ultra Kathy.
Ultra Kathy.
Yeah.
Ultra. Hey, me. See, I use the same voice either way. Hey, me. Yeah. Okay. So, there it is. So, John, right after, I swear to God, right? As soon as you shut the thing, I said, "Oh, wait a minute! I have an early Hemi show and tell item here." So, okay. So this came off an engine that was halfway in a creek. When I got it when I first moved here to Tennessee, it was wasted. It was upside down in a creek. So this is a valve cover that I kept off it. I cut this part of it off because it was just like a tetanus thing. But yeah, it's all rusted through. It's an Imperial, right? Imperial valve cover, right? People go crazy for those. Got a little. This is to set the exhaust rockers. Like conveniently, you just stick your wrench in there and do your thing. So there's my only early Hemi souvenir. Okay, where are we? Gonzo, next week I'm going to rename Uncle Crystal to Crystal Clear.
Crystal Clear.
I think she likes Uncle Crystal.
Can you help with these?
Ron, did you get any subs out of that? I hope. Oh, much better. Thank you, my love. Wood metal garage. Do I have room in the shop for a rotisserie? No, I don't want a rotisserie. Yeah, I don't want a rotisserie. You guys don't have rotisseries. I will not incorporate anything into this channel.
But they don't have big shops either.
Well, the shop is a studio. Okay, the shop is a studio. We do anything that we do in there is still going to be representative of what you can do at home. And if you guys don't have, the access to that part or that tool, I'm not going to have access to that tool. We got to keep the channel pure to its original intent. Mostly all parts. Ron says he made it home safely in the driving range, averaging mile per gallon after 1,400 miles was 15 miles to the gallon. How do you beat that? Doug Narden says, can we have a Page versus Uncle Crystal drag race this season? Mopar versus Chevy. I'd rather see them do it on foot. I would much rather see them race on foot.
Okay, let's see. Plan Z.
Yes, Plan Z.
Plan Z unfinished project.
Plan Z would have gone to the track yesterday, except for rain. They called for rain. Yeah. They said, oh, it's doom. We're going to have monsoons. They're going to get like 37 inches of rain. Everything's going to die, right, is what they call for. And like in the middle of the afternoon, the sun's out and the birds are chirping. But that's why we didn't. Plan Z would have gone to the track last night if the forecast wasn't so jacked up. Let's see.
0. Lord Jack stands up on cardboard because it works good.
Got to keep it real, man. Got to keep it real. We're all in this together. Keith Miles, you're sorry for being true. Why is Keith Miles sorry for being true?
I don't know what happened.
Don't ever apologize for being true, brother, man. I don't care what you got to say. Mike Johnson, thank you, sir. You suggest all new subscribers check out your early videos. They were crude, Mike. They were crude. I cringe. Every time I go back, every time I look at one of those old videos, I cringe. Actually, the truth of the matter is I look at stuff we did 3 weeks ago and I cringe.
We're trying to improve.
We're really trying to up our game.
Do we have the time for the long story on the name Ultra Kathy?
No, there's no long story. Just that, people are always like, why Uncle Kathy, And we live in that day, but, I identify as, a sponge cake, right? And all this other shit. So it's like, rather than have that confusion, we're just going to go with Ultra Kathy. So she keeps UK, which is important, right? So it's Ultra Kathy from now on.
Thanks. I like it.
Okay. Peppy Epstein, your old videos got me watching. Yeah, but haven't we gotten better since then?
I hope so. I seriously hope so. Yeah, throw some more parts. Well, you were just cranky when we started. Right? No!
What?
Don't break the floor.
The viewers want parts thrown. I had to throw a part. Wait, Keith Miles, I think you got a good person. Okay, I do got a good person, but why are you sorry, Keith? Never mind.
I got my name on the first live stream, actually on the podcast. Right?
Is it? I don't remember.
Podcast before.
Yeah, that's right. Podcast.
Yep. It's been a long time.
Which we are. One of the intentions, people are always like, oh, you got too much office space. In that shop, there should be more, shop space. But you got to understand, like I said, it's not a shop, it's a studio. It's a place where we do YouTube. I have no intention of actually doing commercial work out of that place. And we need that office space because a podcast is one of those things that we fully intend on doing. A video podcast. Yeah. So we need a separate studio space for that, recording space for that. There's lots of reasons why we've got set up. And as we evolve over the next year or two, you'll start to see what I've got in mind.
Oh, here, tell me about it. We're going to have a contest at the opening. Talk about the opening.
Yes, we got to talk about that. Because
we have to update the event.
Yes, we have to. Okay. Okay. So the event, April 17th, which is next Saturday, 6 days from today. Anybody who's planning on coming, right? Oh my God, I know.
I'm so not ready.
Anybody who's planning on coming, it's going to start Saturday afternoon, 12 o'clock. It will be there all day, probably all night. Okay. It's called a meetup, right? MEAT. We didn't just misspell it. It's spelled like that for a reason.
That's stupid.
We'll have a couple of grills set up. We've done this in the past. We've had a few of these. Excuse me, but they were local. This is the first time we're doing it off the YouTube channel, but it's called a meetup, and everybody just brings some meat, whatever it happens to be. Bring some burgers or hot dogs. Bring some sausages. Bring some steak, squid, whatever it is that you want to throw on a grill, and share with your friends. Marinate some stuff. Do whatever you got to do. Don't bring any of that commie shit like potatoes and coleslaw and all that.
We'll bring that. I'll bring that.
You don't need any of that stuff.
The
Okay.
ladies like that.
The ladies like meat. So everybody likes meat. So sausages, pork, chicken, ribs, anything you want to bring and share around, and and that's what happens. Like everybody brings a little bit more than what they're going to have for themselves, and we all share it around, and it's really good. It's like a feast, And the first one we did, we had the very first one we had this prohibition on utensils. You had to eat with your hands. It was great. You got to see like 50 people sitting around eating meat with their hands. It was great. So that's next. We'll have sodas and stuff like that. But bring meat.
It's going to start at 12 o'clock, right?
Yeah, it's going to start at 12 o'clock next Saturday. Where is the meetup? The meetup is at the shop. I have no idea what the address of the shop is. 107 Franklin Road.
37128.
37128. Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Right. So yeah, drop by, come by,
There's no specific time. We'll just be there all day.
I am armed, just keep that in mind.
Well, he just signed the law. Everyone will be
constitutional carry, you know what I mean? So just keep that in mind. I am always armed, so but feel free to come by, and the Dirty Nose wants to ship a cow to me. I would love to have a cow.
There's cows all around us.
There is.
It's just not ours.
Yeah.
We don't have any. What's up, Lazy Hole Ranch? You're the bestest. We can't talk about
Lazy A-hole. It's not Uncle Kathy anymore. It's Ultra Kathy. There's been a name change. It's Ultra Kathy.
James Hopper, we'll have more. We'll do the first one, and then
eventually it'll be a semi-regular thing for sure.
Not all the time.
Yeah.
We'll do more. We're looking potatoes. Let's see. Your Yankee is showing.
Everybody is South is armed. Yeah, but you see, I have people who are going to be traveling from great distances that don't understand that, including, let me tell you, I got a couple of really wacky stalkers, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm armed.
Let's see.
You guys have never crossed the Rubicon to where you become in the public, right? You have no idea how wacky, right, people are out there. Not everybody, but there's a few of them. I have one guy. I have one. You can't make this up. Why? You can't make this up. I have a guy. I have one guy. Listen to me. I have a guy who has a channel. Okay, his channel is only making videos about me. This is what he does every day. He makes a video about me. He makes more videos about me than I make actual videos. This is a crazy world we live in.
Here's a question for you.
Ralph Thomas, Tony, is the Speedway hydraulic tube bender any good to buy? I don't know, bro. I don't know. The last time I bent up roll cage tubing, I've used somebody else's, Mikey Tarnowski, actually. Mikey T. Wow, remember him? Yeah. I've never had my own tubing bender because I never did enough tubing bending to make it, Zero. Oh, no, that's for zero.
Oh, okay, sorry. No, it moved. I hit the wrong thing. That's
Oh, thank you, Steve.
You're making me want to stalk you.
I'm armed.
So am I.
Yeah. And I have no problem shooting. A lot of people are like, oh, I could never shoot a person. I would have no problem. Steve Wise, what's your honest opinion about LS engines and the trend of swapping them into everything? My personal opinion about it, I think those engines are fantastic, and I think that people swapping them into things is a viable alternative. I wasn't too crazy about the whole idea of LS swapping like the world, right? Until I guess it was maybe about 3 years ago, 3 years ago. I helped Paige build the engine for her Nova. It was a small block Chevy, right? 350 Chevy. And in my mind, it was like, well, all of this stuff just falls out of trees, right? You know, small block Chevy, they're everywhere, right? I had the hardest time because she had nothing going. It was just an empty engine compartment. I had the hardest time finding brackets and alternator bracket and the right pulleys. And she was ordering this Chinese shit, and it was just falling apart as you took it out of the box. The distributor hold down. I couldn't find a small block Chevy distributor hold down. So she orders one, right? It's a Chinese thing. I tighten it down, okay? And as I'm tightening it, like just making it snug, it collapsed. And I was like, you know what? It's not easy building a small block Chevy anymore. They don't just fall out of trees, and the parts aren't just everywhere anymore. So with that realization, I started to embrace the whole LS thing. And then the more I learned about the engines, the more familiar I became with them, and the more I came to respect them. So myself, there are no LS engines in my future. That said, if I was to build a late model motor and my choice was between an LS or a Gen 3 Hemi, I would build the LS. So does that make any sense? I hope I answered that question. I honestly respect and enjoy the whole LS thing. I love what people do with them.
You talk to each other.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. That means they're getting along.
Well, the open has to be last year.
It should be, yeah. I don't know how we're going to do it just yet.
Maybe we can do some outside because inside we have a problem.
DD Speed Shop. Is it true that you got to click second on a 727 during a burnout or it screws up the trans? People keep telling me that. Okay. Here's what happens. If you let off the gas quickly, all right, the tires grab, you have a chance of rolling a sprag. At the back of the transmission case, there's a sprag. It's a one-way clutch. So in first gear, if you let off the gas abruptly, the tires grab abruptly, right? It'll flip that sprag. Now, when it does that, that turns the engine into a fucking bomb. At that point, there's a drum in there that goes like, I don't even know how many times engine RPM, but they generally come out of the case at about 18,000 RPM. I'm sure somebody who's more familiar with the details of that are. So when you're doing a burnout with a torque flight, you get the tires spinning in first, right? But before you let off, before you finish, click it into second. You know, I mean, you could just use first to just get the tires broke and then, you know, up it into second and just stand on it and do your burnout that way. You get more tire speed that way anyway. But yeah, it's a good habit to get into on a torque flight. Don't ever let off the gas. You can let off the gas in first, but don't ever let off the gas while the tires are spinning in first. Nine out of 10 times when a torque flight explodes, it's because of that situation. And you won't know it did it. You won't know it did it. Like, so picture this, okay? You do your burnout in first gear, right? So you got the tires spinning, you let off, and the tires go, right? And it drags the whole thing down like that. Well, if it flips the sprag, at that point, you'll pull forward the stage. The car will roll forward perfectly normal, right? So you won't even be aware of it until you map the thing. And then where you think first gear is, and you say, it's kind of, and just as the words weird is coming out of your mouth, the thing explodes. Why doesn't that happen with other automatics? Would somebody more familiar with the situation with other automatics answer that question for him? Because others are better. That's a good answer. Jason T, Uncle T, any ideas why I have perfect steady vacuum in park. When I put it in drive, the vacuum is erratic. Could it be the stall converter? If the converter is dragging down the motor beyond its happy idle, well, I mean, that would have to be an extremely tight converter, yeah? Extremely low RPM converter. What would cause that? Perfect steady idle and vacuum in park, but when you put it in drive, the vacuum is erratic. Is it an RPM thing? Is it the load that's causing it to be erratic, or is it the RPM? Is it an RPM thing? Why don't you try lowering the RPM, 100 RPM? So let's say you idle in at like 850 and you got perfect vacuum. Just lower it down to 750 and see if you duplicate that erratic thing. And that'll at least tell you whether it's load, whether it's the engine sitting there, you know, a factor of RPM, or if it's actually load. Okay. Wood metal. I've tried to explode a C6 transmission, but it keeps on going. You can't neutral trap them. By the way, I don't believe that it's possible to hurt a torque plate by neutral dropping it. Jake Vale, hey buddy, I'd make a channel about you too if I could. You can. You can. Anybody can. You know, I'm not making this up. This guy literally does a video every single day about me.
No, just ignore him. Ignore him.
Why do I get the biggest kick out of it?
Oh. It jumps when I'm trying to click on something.
Okay. This is Ron Ward. Mostly Old Parts. Have you guys gone over and subscribed to Mostly Old Parts? Please go over there right now and subscribe to Mostly Old Parts. Do it for Ultra Kathy.
Yes, please.
Yes. Okay, in regards to your Mopar unibody video, the Coronet you reviewed didn't have torque boxes. I know. When rebuilding a V-body, would you recommend adding them to a car? No. It's not necessary. Doug Narden says the Ram Chargers would neutral drop the car right off the line with a push button. I can't tell you how many of those things when I was younger, you know, and like well, pardon then anti-stalking.
Thank you,
we'll put that towards bullets. Thank you. So, when I was younger and like, you know, a little crazy, you know, I was you know, so I mean, if I had a car that would hook, you know what I mean, like you know, most of the time, you know, in street racing, there's no traction, right? But if you're in a situation where, whenever I found myself in a situation where there was actually traction, you know, that rare time when the car and traction came together, oh, bro, I mean, just mat it, pow, right, and go. So, yeah, I've never, ever hurt a torque flight by neutral dropping them. Actually, my friend, Dr. Nightmare, he had a... I won't even talk about that. I can't talk about that. Yeah, I can't talk about that.
No.
But it was a cool neutral dropping story.
But you use the name.
But nobody knows who it is.
No, but keep watching. Don't do it. Don't say it.
I can dance around that. No, this is great. This is great. Right? So I can tell this story without you know, anybody right knowing who it is. So. My friend Dr. Nightmare, right? He has this very exotic car, okay? You know, like let's say a very exotic drag car, okay? So he puked his everything, okay? So we put something together real quick out of odds and ends that I had laying around, and it made good mid-range power, but not nearly enough to get this thing moving, okay? Because this had big tires. It was a big tire car with a 9-inch and like a 370 gear, so it needed some real oomph to get going. So And this thing I put together, we put together in the car was maybe 450 horsepower at that, right? 500 horsepower tops. So the only way to get it to go was to just redline the thing and then pull the shifter down in the first and hang on, right? So I showed him what to do. He wasn't really the best driver, you know what I'm saying? So I showed him what to do, and I did it a couple of times, and the car launched with a little bit of a kick, and then I said, "Go ahead, try it." So he gets in the car, and this is on the street, right? So he gets in the car, and he flat foots it, right? Things like valve float, pulls it on the first, and the car jumps out, got sideways, and went straight for a pole and me. So he steered away from the pole, and then he started coming at me. I was like, there's no more teaching people how to do stupid shit with cars. How do you spell that? Exoriat Mike. You from Earth? Quick question. I'm acquiring a 250 Chevy inline six and was wondering if you had any tricks to make it a bit more pep, any mods to stay away from. I'm not familiar enough with those engines to know any tricks or anything like that. That's something, maybe somebody on here can point you in the right direction to maybe a forum or but those engines are very popular, for a long time they were very popular, like certain circle track classes and whatnot. So there's a great deal of information. I just don't have it. I'm sorry, I wish I could. Hey Tony, are you familiar with BMW E30s and what are your thoughts on them? They look to be inflating in price. I'm not familiar. It's out of my wheelhouse. It's out of my wheelhouse.
Do you have?
Do I have what? For anybody going to the meet and greet, I'm looking to purchase a set of small ball pattern rally wheels, driver quality. I don't have it. I may have one or two of them over at the old place. Let's see. What is the goal weight for Project Miata? Okay. Wet. I did a lot of research. I should have put the card scales before I took it apart. I didn't, and I got the scales there too. I should have put it on scales. Wet, ready to go. According to like 10 different sources that I read, people who had weighed their cars. Certified truck scales, drag strip scales. The average seems to be 2,200 pounds. Wet, ready to run. So now I've pulled 75 pounds out of the car, and I'm adding about 150 pounds. So the car should be right around 2,250, ready to run. I'm not sure exactly, but someplace in that range. I'll know for sure soon enough. Should I be Jason T? Should I be tuning for vacuum in drive instead of park? Yes. Either way is going to get you the approximately right settings. Drive would be the more direct thing because you're not really concerned how the engine performs in park. So I would say, yeah, drive would be a better choice. But either way, I think you're going to get the same result. New comments. It's Buff Del Campo, and now he's gone. I just saw Buff a second ago. I don't know. Hammerhead Garage, what's up? Congrats on the new space. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Let's see. Chris Greenaway. Tony, paint guy is coming to look at my car. Why is it cheaper to repaint the car the same color compared to brand new? I don't understand what you mean by that. Repaint the car the same color. Well, it's always cheaper to repaint the car the same color because there's so many things that you don't have to. You don't have to do the door jambs. You don't have to do under the hood. You don't have to do the trunk. You know what I mean? You're keeping it the same color. I don't know, but Buff Del Campo popped in, and then I don't see him anymore.
Where you go?
I don't know. I hit new comments
Yeah.
and he disappeared.
Because you scroll all the way down.
Ah, please. This is what you do, Ultra Kathy.
I know, I'm looking for him. Here he is.
If it's meet and greet, yes, Buff. It is meet and greet, yes. We just got to talking about that. For anybody who wasn't here, the meet and greet next Saturday afternoon at the new place. It's the address is
10710 Franklin Road, Murfreesboro, Tennessee 37128.
Yes. Bring some form of meat. We'll have a couple of few grills going, and we'll bring meat. You know, we'll just be grilling meat. So bring meat. Don't be bringing coleslaw. Okay.
Coleslaw.
No, don't be bringing no. Don't be bringing any of that stuff.
Strawberries.
Potato salad. None of that shit. Bring meat. Bring meat.
Really? Really? Yeah. We're gonna have barbecues. Yes, Buff.
Yes.
Really, for real. That's what we're doing. We're barbecuing. Well, I shouldn't say barbecue. Grilling.
Grilling. We're grilling.
Yeah. So.
It's going to be the most informal thing you could possibly imagine.
Yeah. Is this really James May?
It's not really James May.
Oh, okay. Possum meat? No.
Oh. I meant
Okay.
tune your mixtures while in drive with the brake holding it back. Yes. That would be the best way to do it. I usually work by myself, and I'll pull the car up against something, like I pull it up against my truck, whatever the bumpers will match on, that I don't do any damage like that, and I'll leave it in drive and then make my adjustments like that.
Oh yeah.
Meat, cigarettes, and hot rods. Yes.
No. I can't believe the border is so close.
Oh man, I'm telling you something. We were at the Buttercup Festival.
We went to the Buttercup.
I loved it.
Festival.
I had the best time. The Nolensville Buttercup Festival, right? But there were thousands of people there. Not a mask. I mean, there were like 8 people wearing masks. You know what I mean? Everybody was like, it was like nothing ever happened. It was like everything is totally back to normal over here.
Kids playing in the creek.
And wading in the creek, and it was great. Riding the horses, and but no buttercups. I wanted to see a buttercup competition, and there was like it was almost like false advertising, the Buttercup Festival.
There are a lot of people there.
But there were a lot of people, thousands of people there.
Okay. Where and when is this meet up?
Next Saturday at the new shop, and the address is
10710 Franklin Road, Murfreesboro, Tennessee 37128.
Says the disembodied voice.
I'm doing the comments.
I've always got this disembodied voice that hovers around me. It's crazy, right?
I'm running the mouse. I'm like, what's her name?
What's his name?
You know, when we used to do the podcast. What's her name? From the radio. With Howard Stern.
Oh, Robin Williams.
Right.
Crivers.
Yeah, that's me. Here's a question.
Does the ballast resistor only resist volts when hot? And can it resist too much voltage? It's not going to resist too much voltage. And the heat is how, as it gets hot, it's reducing the voltage going to the device that's giving that's the word I'm looking for. As the coil gets hot, the resistance inside the coil, it gets hot. The ballast resistor also gets hot, and that backs the voltage off.
How many times did you say ballast resistor in that?
Oh, a lot of times. A lot of times. Jimmy Fed, Tony, I just checked for you. Miata was 22.98 pounds from this week in cars. That was If now, if you go to like Miata forums, right, which I spent a lot of time on Miata forums researching things, all of the numbers that I got were right there in that 2200 range. Now remember, this is also my car's an NA, so it's an 1890. What are you doing?
Someone wants me to take the meat and greet info.
Oh, okay. My car is an NA, which is the first generation of them. It's a 1990. So they tend to be lighter than the later ones.
I'm typing.
Okay.
You can keep talking while I type.
Let's see. Chris Greenaway. Tony, will you pay the fine if I cross the border? You? No. Not that I don't like you, but I don't really see any value in paying. You know what I'm saying? It's.
I mean.
All right, where are we at? He said that the left side is heavier than the left by 100 pounds. I mean, the left side is heavier than the right. I don't see how that would be. RC Moot. I have an HEI distributor for my Chevy 350. What wires do I hook up to work? The only wire you need is 12 volts from, make sure you're not going through a resistor wire. You just need a 12 volt key operated source directly to the battery terminal. If you look at the HEI, you'll see, okay, if you look at the cap, you'll see there's space for 3 wires, like I said, the little thing that hangs off. There's 3 wires at the back, and those go down to the module, okay? And then you'll see 1 marked battery and 1 marked tack. So you want 12 volts to the terminal marked battery. Eric Miller, thank you. What is your procedure for 4-corner idle on a 750 Holly 4150? I'm so OCD about. Let me tell you something, right? I whenever I come across a 4-corner idle carburetor, like a part of my soul dies because I spend so much freaking time. I don't have any procedure other than I close them all up, open them all 1.5 turns like that, and then just start going around a carburetor and you know, and I'm like I said, I'm so OCD about carb adjustments and stuff like that it's like I'll end up going around one of those carburetors like no exaggeration until I'm like, you know what, I just don't care anymore, and I slam the fucking hood. That's my procedure for a 4-corner idle.
You have a camera running?
Yes, we should have there'll be a lot of people there with cameras and whatnot. Yeah.
Sure. Mostly old parts.
Okay. Okay, might I add something to your Bowser's video? Of course. If you have an electric choke on the carb, run the choke wire on the 12 volt side of the resistor in the summer, and less the side in the winter. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
I'm looking. They're talking to one another.
Okay. I'm going to roll a cigarette while they're talking.
Are you?
Yes. Ultra Kathy.
Okay. Thank you.
Colt 100 Senk UT. I drove a Miata today, and I was trying to imagine with a slanted 6. Lots of fun. Yeah. You know. Okay. Wait. Okay. I got to roll a cigarette. I have to roll a cigarette because that's what I do, right? But I want to talk about the Miata for a second because there was a conversation I had with Ultra Kathy last night about this car. Okay. I'm getting closer. Go ahead, answer a question for somebody.
You want me to answer?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, here's Wendy. What's up, Wendy?
Hey, Wendy.
Oh, we at the garage every day. Yes, but right now we're running back and forth. So we're at the garage and then we'll run back because I have to do a lot of editing here because we still don't have the internet service that we need to work in that place. So we're working on that. But yeah, we're there every day, but run back and forth.
Yeah, just for the sake of anybody who's like local, who's just like, oh, I'll just fall by there. I don't keep regular hours, and I won't be keeping regular hours. So it's like you best to try to contact before you head over. All right. Okay. So we're talking about the Miata. Okay. So, and I'm going to do a video on this. getting past the part where people are like, well, we'll put a V8 in it. You put a V8 in it. It's so easy to put a V8 in it. I know how easy it is to put a V8 in it. I've watched all the videos. I've made all of the measurements. I've done all of that, okay? And I see exactly how easy, how absurdly easy it would be to put a V8 in the car. I don't want an overpowered car. I want an autocross car. This isn't a road race car. I'm not going to be battling ZL1s down the back straight of something. No, this is a freaking parking lot autocross car, okay? So I don't need or want that much power in the car. It would only make it harder to drive the car, harder to control the car with that much more power. Secondly, the slant six. People will like, use a trunk pin and you won't have to move the motor back. Move the sway bar, you won't have to move the motor back. No, you don't, okay.
Well, this is because I said that you didn't explain what's in your head.
Yes, I didn't explain what's in my head to people. By setting the motor back, okay, it's not that I'm trying to get past some mythical obstacle. By setting the motor back, I'm moving the weight closer to the rear end. I've got a heavier transmission that I'm moving closer to the rear end, and I've got a hunk of cast iron that I'm moving closer to the rear end. By setting the motor back, I'm making it more like a Corvette than a Miata. So even though I'm adding some weight to the car, the weight will be in a better place, and it should actually enhance the handling of the car. It'll be in a better place, and it'll be lower. So that's because I kept seeing a comment over and over again. Put a V8 in it. I don't want a fucking V8. If I wanted a V8, I put a V8. I got V8s up the wazoo. I got too many V8s. It would be too easy to stick one in there. I don't want a V8 in the car. And then the other comment was about the Buick 215. A bunch of people were like, I thought you loved the Buick 215. Put the Buick 215 in it. I love the Buick 215. It is such a beautiful little jewel of an engine. I would kill to have Dallas stick that motor in a Miata. But I will not put it in my own freaking Miata. I want a Chrysler in my Miata. I want my Miata to have the same alternator, the same water pump, the same belt pulleys, the same everything that I have, the same spark plugs, the same ignition system, the same carburetor that I have on all of my other cars. I want it to have the same transmission I have on all of my other cars. I want it to have all of the same wiring. I want the same voltage regulator. I want it to have the same freaking horn relay as all of my other cars. So essentially, I'm taking a Mazda Miata rolling chassis and I'm turning it into a 1960s Mopar. Okay, so that's why I'm not putting the Buick 215 in there. I'm not putting a small block Ford in there. I'm not putting a Coyote motor in there. I'm putting an LS in it. I'm not putting a 340. I'm not putting a 318. I'm not putting a 360. I'm not putting a Godzilla motor in it. I'm not putting rocket thrusters on the back. It's not going to be powered by mozzarella or Space Forces. It's going to be powered by a slant freaking six.
You done?
Yes.
Olive wants to bring fancy things.
Hey, Olive, how are you? Bison burger and blue cheese for fancy. Maybe you bring, yes, bring it. Are you coming? I would love to meet you. Lean burn on the Miata. Yes, of course. We have to put a lean burn on it so I can then later rip the lean burn off and throw it, because that's my idiom, you know.
Oh, let's see. Replica.
You're going to try to make the 420-mile trip to the event on Saturday. Wish me luck. Good luck.
What are you driving?
Is it really worth it? Is it really worth it? Because, honestly, Replica, there is no way in hell I would drive 420 miles to meet me. There's just no way. I'm going to explain something to anybody who's considering coming to this thing, right? To meet us, to meet me, and you will be disappointed. I am going to. I have like $600 in my pocket right now, and I will bet every penny of it that if you come to this thing on Saturday, this coming Saturday, to meet me, you will leave disappointed. I'm Buff knows. Buff was disappointed. Every time he meets me, he's disappointed. John Wilburn will tell you how disappointing it is to meet me. There is nothing special going on, I'm telling you.
And William Stamper.
You're worried about my sanity? No, not my sanity's fine. Please. I'm the sanest person you will ever. No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Buff is coming 760 miles.
Yeah, but you've already been pre-disappointed. You're used to it. So you can just come on out, you know.
It's a good one.
You're watching now and disappointed. Thank you. You see, you don't have to travel all the way to Murfreesboro, Tennessee to be disappointed. You can just tune into this and yeah, I'll disappoint you.
Too funny.
But yeah, it's not funny, it's true.
Yeah, it's true. Let's see. It's all over.
It's not disappointing. It's not the right word for Tony, but I have no idea what the right word is. No, okay, maybe I'm not disappointing, but the experience of coming will be disappointing. You're going to be like, I drove 300 miles for this? No more YouTube for me.
Oh, man. Funny.
Anthony Smiley, have you done a video on your Mopar magazine days? Would you? Not really. I mean, I don't really like to. I mention things that I've done in the past only because it's like a reference point. So, you know, if I'm doing a story on, or I'm doing a video on whatever it happens to be, and I covered it back in my magazine days, right? Or I'm talking about a particular car, an engine, or whatever it happens to be, and I covered it in my magazine days. I'll bring it up then. But for the most part, anything that I've done in the past, I really like to just leave it in the past and focus on the future, which I don't have much left of. I'll be almost 60 now. So I really got to focus on the future.
No. Oh, wait, I missed it. Hang on, Dickie Frawley. He's talking to somebody else. Sorry, Dickie.
Mock up the Miata and scale it for weight distribution. I don't have a motor to put in the Miata to mock it up. I gave the only slant I had laying around to Buff. I have one other slant, but it's complete, like air cleaner to oil pan. You know, and it just wouldn't be representative of what. And it's in a place that's very hard for me to get it. So I'm just going to wait until I get the 170. But yeah, the 220, the only 225 I have, the only slant I have is a 225, and it's like completely dressed with all the pulleys and everything else on it. So I'll just wait until April 30th when John Wilburn comes and brings me the 170 that's going to go in there. Hi, Tony. What's the trick to installing a dipstick tube in a block in the car without ruining it? Oh, man. Yeah, you got to tap it real gently. There is no, I don't really have a trick. I don't have a trick. You got to make sure you got to make sure the angle is just right. You know, get it in as far as you can by finger. I get it grabbed, and then I'll use a bodywork hammer, a light bodywork hammer or a brass hammer, whatever's closest to me, and just tap it in. And they're generally okay. They want to meet the real Tony and will be disappointed when you're the same person as on YouTube. That's the truth. Ultra Kathy lives with me. Am I any different on YouTube than I am in real life? No.
You actually stutter more when you make videos than you do in real life.
That's true. That's true.
Like, I never really heard you stutter before you started making video.
When I was a kid, I used to stutter like crazy.
Did you?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really the only difference. Because you're trying to remember everything.
I'm trying to keep it all together, and I've always got the clock ticking in my head.
Oh, how long the video's running?
Yeah.
That's really the only difference.
Simon Gurett, tell us what is the magical or the voodoo that happens on a TA340? It's the same as any six-pack car. They're a little bit harder to tune the secondaries on a 340 six-pack. And I mean the opening point. Like there's a trick to blocking off one of an air bleed to the vacuum secondaries that works on a 446 pack. That don't try it on a 346 pack. There just isn't enough volume of air moving through the motor. But getting the right balance with springs and shit is a little more trickier with the 340. But what is there's okay as produced, okay, the TA motor, right? There's revisions to the block, there's revisions to the head, there's all sorts of things that make a TA motor special, but none of them actually add to the performance. Those things are all there to be modified in the future, right, as a race motor. So there's nothing at all in the engine itself that will give it any extra oomph. It's all in the six-pack setup, and it's just the six-pack is just a when they work right, and I've had some miserably bad ones, right? When they work right, that's all the voodoo you need. They're fun. Dakota, I was bummed out when I met him. I thought he was going to shoot firecrackers and do cartwheels. But you know something? Don't ever be surprised. I may do that.
Yeah, Vince, right?
In your early videos, it seemed like you were yelling. You were much calmer now. I was yelling.
You was yelling.
I was yelling, and it wasn't an act.
It was the anxiety.
It was anxiety.
Video.
Yeah, because I'm totally not. Look, I'm not an actor. Okay, and before I started making videos, it never even crossed my mind to make videos. I'm a freaking writer, right? I'm not even a writer. I'm a mechanic, and it just happened to write. So in the early videos, for me to get the thought out of my head, I had to do it really fast, and that's why I tended to yell.
But that's how you write too. Like you go sit down and you write a story, and you used to do stories, and you just blow it out.
Yeah.
Like there would be like, you know how people will type a sentence and they'll pause. You don't do that. You just type and you blow out the whole thing. When
I was in so somebody was asking to do a story about when I was in the magazine business. One of the reasons I made it as good as I did in the magazines is I had zero training as a writer. So I got thrown out of school when I was 16. I didn't know how to spell when I was a professional writer. That tends to be a story of my life, right?
Yeah. It's all right.
So, I literally didn't know how to spell a punctuation or typing or anything, and I was a full-time professional writer getting paid good money for it. And the reason for that is because I'm not a writer, I only know how to spit it out the way it's in my head. So where most people would have to sit and think and contemplate and you know, I would just bang away it as fast as I could, and I would do like a full 2, 3, 4 page feature in like an hour, you know. So I was able to do that once a day, twice a day, and that's why I was able to get as many magazine articles out there in the period of time that I was doing it.
It's hard for people to do it like that.
There's no other way for me to do it. There were times that I actually tried to write like, okay, well, you know, I'm supposed to be a writer, okay, let me write something, you know. So I would try to do that and nothing would come out. I would just be like, you know. So I just, whatever's in my head, I got to get it out as fast as I can or I lose it. It's my ADD.
Goes away, yeah.
I have short circuits, I'm telling you, fucking like autistic, like, you know. So, oh, I'm on the spectrum, believe me. Captain Snickers. I like that name. This is a little bit out there question. There's no such thing. Don't have to answer. But what is your opinion on the small block Chevy 307? Why is that an out there question? I just think the 307 is a fight. Okay, back in the day, right, when 350s, 400s, you know, the 327s even, right? When all of those engines were a dime a dozen, they were everywhere, right? It was pointless to work with a 307 because it was just literally those engines were free. Like like they were everywhere, small block Chevys. So nobody bothered with a 307. but today they're kind of scarce. The 307 is a fine foundation to work with. Nothing wrong with it. Actually, I was just watching a Vice Grip did a 307 build, and he stuck it on a dyno. I was just watching that video the other night. By the way, go to Vice Grip Garage and look up 307, search 307, and he's got a whole build up on this budget 307 that he did. I think it's a fine foundation to build with. That job he did on that Chevelle, the independent Chevelle. Have you guys seen this thing? Right? And he brought it to the burnout contest. I didn't realize he did that whole project in a year, beginning to end. Right from the time he dragged it out of when he bought it, drove it home, to the time they actually had that thing up, running, and doing burnouts. He did that in a year's time. I have a whole new respect for Derek. Just amazing work that he did there. Made it just first class. Derek Doble, $5. Thank you, sir. Which vacuum port do you use on an Edelbrock carb for a small block Chevy? The one on the passenger side or the driver's side? The one on the passenger side is ported vacuum. The one on the driver's side is non-ported vacuum. Take your pick. Which one do you want to use? It's going to be, honestly, in real life, it's going to be 6 of one, half a dozen of another. Plug it into each one and see which one the car responds better with. That's the best answer that I can give you. It's that simple. Just swap them back and forth and see which one the car responds best to. Richie Pinata. I love that name. If I ever do become a writer and do like the ghostwriter, I'm going to use that name, Richie Pinata. Thoughts on aluminum heads? They're fine. I mean, nowadays they're cheap enough that you can get in. I mean, you can get into a decent set of heads for like $1,200, right? They're fine. I myself, for my cars, right, I prefer to work with, because I'm a purist freak. Something wrong with me. Okay, I prefer to work with the stock castings. I like to modify. I get a kick. I have fun modifying the stock castings to do what I want them to do. But I don't recommend that for the average person, given that there are so many aftermarket heads on the market these days. They're so cheap, and you can buy them secondhand, and that they're fine. Just because I don't use something doesn't mean that I'm down on it. You know what I'm saying? Just like LS's. I love the LS motor. I go to LS Fest every year. I love the LS, but you'll never see me have one because it's just not my thing. So it's the same thing with aluminum heads. Aluminum heads are fine. I go with them. I myself personally just like something that has an original Chrysler casting number on it, and it makes me feel I don't know. I guess I was like bounced around as an infant or something, and this makes me the way I am.
Thanks, Big Bear.
Yes, thumbs up for Ultra Kathy. And Harambe. Let's not ever forget Harambe. Martin, thank you, sir. Back in the day, I loved the 550 Commander, Crane Commander, hydraulic flat top in the 383. Did you ever use that cam? No. 550 Crane Commander. I never used it. No. I can't recall anybody I know using it, but man, so many engines, so many years ago. I don't know.
Jeremy Merrill.
Oh, first time I've been able to catch a live, long time fan. You're not a fan, you're a viewer. I don't like fans. I have like viewers. Okay. Yeah. No, seriously. I could, I'm really okay. Hoping I can get down and see the new shop this summer. Come on down, man.
They're talking to each other. Yeah. Wow, I'm way behind.
Oh yeah. Better catch up.
I'm super behind.
Oh man, we've already burned down an hour.
Okay. We've discussed this.
Wooden Metal Garage. Are you going to have the option to join the channel soon?
Do you mean like what? Like subscriptions?
Oh, you mean the memberships and stuff like that? No, we will not do that.
Yeah, we talked about it.
We talked about that. I don't. Here's the thing, right? We get paid by YouTube. So, and we get paid decently, which is why we're able to do this. Um, I don't want. We already get paid, so I don't want to shut anybody potentially out of material by making like memberships. You know what I'm saying? Like
A lot of people do it though.
a lot of people do it.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that you don't feel comfortable.
Yeah, I got nothing against people who want to do that, but I feel I have been broke. You know what I mean? I have been broke. I have been broke to where it's like, okay, do I eat or do I get cigarettes or do I put gas in the car? I've been there, okay? And I don't want any of our viewers who may be going through a period like that to feel shut out of anything that we do. Does that make any sense? So no, I won't do anything that's exclusive or proprietary or where you pay extra money and you get this benefit or bonus. We get paid by YouTube. I don't need any additional income like that. I won't take it.
You remember when we were young? It was mac and cheese and rice and
Oh yeah, we lived. Please.
When we were kids.
So
We just scrounged into the seats for a cup of coffee. Remember?
We were so broke at some point. At one point, we were young, right? We were so broke at one point. We're on our way to the store to get something to get food, right? And food consisted of a 5-pound bag of rice and a thing of bouillon cubes, because this is what we were living on, right? We lived in a studio apartment. It was terrible. I had
kids though.
Yeah, I had my hot rod, but I couldn't touch it. I had no money for that, so it just sat and languished on the side of the house. So we were so broke. I had a 70 Challenger that beat. It was a regular driver. It was a B5 Blue 70 Challenger, right? Sweet. This car was beautiful, all right? And I ran out of gas on the way to the supermarket. So as we're sitting there on the side of the road, my friend Rocco comes riding by on his motorcycle. He had a CB350 Honda, right? And he says, what's the matter? He says, well, I'm out of gas. He says, well, jump on and take it to the gas station. And I says, no, we got our money. That's it. We're done. So we're done. So I says, I'll tell you what, how much gas you got in that motorcycle? So he says, I just filled the tank. I says, I'll trade you. So I swapped him. We traded right there in the middle of the street. I gave him the Challenger, and I put Uncle Ultra Kathy on the back of the motorcycle, drove her to the supermarket. We took our last $1.20, and we bought a bag of fucking rice and a thing of bouillon cubes, right? And that's what we lived on. Okay. So having come from that, right, I know that in our viewership, right, among our viewers, there are going to be people who are going through that period in their lives as well. And I think it's a healthy thing to go through that period in your life because you don't appreciate.
Especially when you're young.
Right, exactly. You know what I mean? You don't appreciate, things unless you get to that point. So, but anyway, I know that there are people in our viewership that are going through that period in their life, and I will not shut them out of make it like, oh, there's exclusive content, or you got to be a member, or you got to be. I ain't gonna do that. I ain't gonna do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kinsley Tay Sachs Miracle. I don't know what that. Well, but thank you. Oh wait, Tay Sachs is a disease.
It's a disease, yeah.
Oh, is that?
What?
Is that your in the picture? Is that your is that Kinsley?
Yeah. That's nice. We appreciate that. You guys make this channel awesome. You're the ones that watch all the videos.
We're rolling it together.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I don't think of myself as any different than you guys. It's just I have more experience. You know what I mean? I've been around for a long time. I've done a lot of stuff, but I don't consider myself any different than any of you people. So it's like, we're all in this together.
You're in zero. Yep. Yeah, for real.
Yeah. Zero, man, it's good to do that. It's good to go through the starve.
It's motivating.
It's motivating. I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you something that came from that, bro. Right after that experience, I was like, I will never, ever, ever be broke again. I will never get to this point that So I started at that point. I was like 21.
It was before we had kids. So
Yeah, I was like 21 years old.
Like 17 or 18.
I said, I will never, ever be this broke again. Right. That was the experience that broke the thing. Right. So I decided to put a certain amount of money aside every day. Okay. It was a token amount, right? But I said every day.
Yeah, remember?
And I said every day without fail, no matter what. If I have to borrow this money, this amount of money, if I have to steal this amount of money, I don't care what I have to do. Every day I'm going to put this amount of money aside and I'm never going to touch it. Because, I'm never going to be, I want that option. Even if I don't use it, I want that option. So this is when I was 21 years old. And I did that. And I did, if I met my goal, how much I wanted to make, I still have it. I still have not touched it. I've changed it into different things over the years. But that money that I saved when I was 21 years old, to this day, I still have not touched it.
I'm sorry I asked.
I love you too, man.
Yeah. We're probably not going to change our minds on that.
No.
No. Oh, Dickie Frawley. Oh, I miss meals most of my life.
Most of your life. I eat too good now.
We can tell. It
Yeah.
shows in the video.
I know. You can see, all right. There's no poverty going on at the moment. But that can change tomorrow.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, zero. She's a good one.
My lady used to cash my checks when I was making 1,800 plus a week, and when I made 300 a week, she was always cool with me. Yeah, there you go. Because listen, if you made 1,800 a week once, you'll make 1,800 again. You know what I mean? The point is, everything's right. Exactly. It goes like this. I mean, we've been living really well since we started doing YouTube. This is awesome. Could turn around tomorrow. You know what I mean? I'm prepared for it. You always have to be ready for that. So, yeah, we got chickens.
I'm so totally all right with like, okay, everything's done. All right, let's go live in the woods with the chickens. Yeah.
If you won the lottery, would you still drive riding muscle?
Nothing would change.
Nothing would change.
Absolutely nothing. Wait. We might get something with a little more property just so the chickens and dogs have more. That's it.
Yeah, the grandkids too.
The grandkids.
I would, yeah. If I won the lottery, the only thing that would change in my life is I would go pick up something, a nice hunk of land, so that.
We weren't in a subdivision.
Well, no, I like being in a subdivision.
Well, so that we had more room.
Yeah, I want the option. I would keep the subdivision place, and I would also have, the option of doing that. I would pick up land, but I mean, if I won the lottery, nothing would change. I wouldn't. I gotta explain to you. We've had big chunks of Kathy. When we've had big chunks of money, have I changed?
No.
No. Nothing changes. I'm absolutely perfectly content. I would move forward on the hell with you. I would get that.
Right.
I would get that going.
Some more parts.
Right.
We'd be able to do more projects. That's really it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah. Right, John Over.
It would race the hell with you. Yeah.
Did the van life.
Would always have money, solid runners and tools. That's fine, yeah. There's a lot of people doing the van life thing, man. A lot of people, the tiny house and the van life. It's not for me, but I can definitely respect it.
Here's a question.
What is the relationship between lift and duration? There is no relationship between lift and duration. They're the mutually exclusive characteristics of a camshaft. Lobe separation is more. Is in my opinion, the order of importance in determining a camshaft would be LSA first, because that's your overall characteristic of the personality of the cam. Then duration, then lift. But that's just my opinion. A lot of different people would have different opinions on that. What made you change your mind about slant swapping the Miata? I didn't think you wanted to do it at first. The alternator. The alternator. I'm, I'm going through. I'm just going through the car. You know, I brought it. I'm like, I rolled it off the trailer, and I was like, all right, so let's see what I got going on here, right? And I opened the trunk, and there's a bunch of stuff in the trunk, and I picked up the alternator. That, you know, that was on the car, and I was like, I got to put this in the car. I got to put this under the hood. I'm going to try to start this motor. And then I looked at it, and he says, "That's not a Chrysler alternator." And I chucked it. I really did chuck it. And he says, "No, I got to throw a Chrysler motor in here." And I've had this curiosity about the 170 slant, and in my mind, you know, inline, a high RPM inline six is like this, the sports car thing, you know, the sports car sound and the sports car look. So that's what made me do it. And like I said, I want the car mechanically, I want it to be all exactly the same as my other cars. So the alternator takes a shit, I reach on the shelf, I grab one Chrysler alternator, throw it in. Voltage regulator takes a shit, I reach on there and throw it in. Electrical problem, I go to my Chrysler fuse box, and it'll be wired exactly like any of my other cars, and just, you see what I'm saying? So mechanically, it'll be an rolling chassis, it'll be a Mazda Miata. Mechanically, in driveline, it's going to be a 1960s Dart. Tony, how much cam lift can you put in a 170 slant six without notching the pistons? I don't know. Now the 170 has a zero deck piston. The 225, the piston sits about 130 thousandths down the hole. The 170 is a zero deck motor, but I don't really think you're in any danger of. I don't think you could put that much lift, that big of a camshaft in that motor to actually worry about valve to piston clearance. Jonathan Cauchy, $5. Thank you, sir. What LSA would you recommend for a tire burning 360? What in general is a good LSA for a Chrysler small block? There is no general, because every engine is going to have different reason. Okay, you know, one engine is going to be daily driver, one engine is going to tow, one engine is going to be, you want to burn tires. Generally speaking, something in the 110 range. The 110 range, without getting crazy with the converter. And again, you see, there's a lot of characteristics when you're going to spec out a cam. There's so many things you have to take into consideration. The vehicle weight, all of the hardware around the engine. Is it a stick? Is it an automatic? The converter? What kind of gear is it? What tire size? All of these things come into play. So it's hard to just randomly say, oh, you want to burn tires on a 360, put this cam in it. It's not that simple. But something in the 110 range will be a good, happy, it'll be punchy, it'll have that sound, and that'll get you burning tires. You go shorter than that, and then you're starting to move the power curve away from the tire burning aspect of things. Miss Squirt McCurt, $10. Thank you, sir. Where do you get your engines? My roommate and I want to rebuild one of these cheap 318s you speak of, but they're like $400 at salvage yards here. You just got to network, man. You just got to network. Like every just find the local Mopar guys, and like everybody's got. I don't want to say everybody. You'll find them like behind people's sheds, you know. And I had one laying behind my house here for the longest time, upside down. You just got to hunt around. You got to hunt around. You'll find them. John Weaver, do you think 10-to-1 compression is a good all-around ratio? That's like a camshaft question. There are so many variables in effect there. Yes, 10-to-1 is, see, again, you're talking static compression. You're not talking about dynamic compression. So it's a really difficult question to answer. Yes, 10-to-1 is generally recognized as a good static compression ratio for a general high-performance street engine. But that's not to say after you've got, like that's not to say that your engine is going to be optimized that way. But yeah, 10 to 1's a good. If money was no object, since I live in the Ozark Mountains, I would have a piece of property with a house on top of a cave and drive my car through a remote control cave door like the Michael Keaton's Batman. What's the matter with Bruce Wayne's Batman?
Bruce Wayne is Batman.
I drove the Batmobile. I actually did burnouts in the real actual Batmobile. What do we think of the Datsun Z straight six engines, L24, L28? I don't know them by their designation, but years ago I had a couple of early Z cars, and I loved them. They were, that was one of the things. I remember the sound of those cars, and that was one of the reasons why I need to put a slant in the Miata. That actually popped into my head.
Monty pulls bullshit on the Batmobile, Barney.
Go to UncleTony'sGarage.com.
Yeah.
Is it still up there?
Yeah, it's up there.
Go to UncleTony'sGarage.com. How would he find it?
It's in there in the Wayback Machine section.
Yeah, there's a section called the Wayback Machine. Go there and just I did the whole story on it. It was from a story I did in Cars Illustrated in 1986, 1987. But there's pictures of me doing a burnout in a Batmobile. You can't miss it.
Review the website. I'm getting to it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
What do we think of dropping a Benz straight 5 or straight 6 diesel, either with 3.0 into a Toyota or Nissan pickup truck? Why not? I'm not familiar enough with those engines, to make a good recommendation on it. But why not? Chase Bryan, any chance of seeing some big block build footage this year? Yeah, there's going to be the Gambler cars getting a 383. And I've got most of the parts lined up, rounded up for it right now. I got the block, I got the heads, I got the crank, I got the rods, pistons, I got the cam, I got intake manifold, I got the distributor, I got pretty much everything to build that engine. Maybe around July-ish we'll get into that. Curtis Randolph, having trouble removing my cam bearings. Coming out in pieces? How do you mean?
I don't know.
You got an issue there. Chris, if Tony won the lottery, Kathy 67, yes, she would get a 67 GTX. Tony, what was the deal with you driving a Superbird hard and making someone? It wasn't a Superbird. It was a Hemi Daytona. Yes, I did a drag test on a Hemi Daytona. That's also in the Wayback Machine at UncleTony'sGarage.com.
He wasn't mad.
He wasn't mad. He was a little irked and concerned. Yeah.
He was nervous.
He was nervous. I beat that thing like a redheaded stepchild.
It's a terrible saying that your granddaughter's a redhead.
My granddaughter is such a redhead. I'm in so much trouble. You have no idea. Today. So we're at the Buttercup Festival, and it's like an Aryan wonderland. Okay, because it's like Middle Tennessee, right? So what? So but just saying, there's a sea of blonde heads and light redhead, and my granddaughter, right, stood out like a beacon because of how red her hair is. It's amazing. I'm in so much trouble. With this kid. Douglas Self, one quick trivia question. Did you ever see someone drop a 318 poly engine into an A-body Mopar? No, I haven't. As far as I know, the engine is too damn wide. It's no wider than a 440. You're going to have a problem with the exhaust. Get the exhaust to clear on the driver's side. Mostly all parts. Have they ever exploded a muffler on an A12 car? There's a story there someplace, one that I have forgotten about.
I don't know.
There's a story about that. Ron, it rings a bell. Okay, it rings a bell. If you know a story that has something to do with me in an A12 car and a muffler, let me know, because I am gaps, head trauma over the years. I have but I have Alzheimer's and please.
Go ahead, read that.
Crazy Wrench Garage. How big of a cam did you put in that slant 6 man? That thing was nasty sounding. It's 500 lift, 286. I forget, it was 284, 286, something like that, on a 110. And the motor's 11.5 to 1 compression. It's my brother, Normal James, from the People's Republic of New Jersey, which is still locked down. Like, please. Uncle is a gift pissing off people with cars even before he could drive. I've pissed people off my whole life. I trigger people for some reason. What cam did he end up using? It's a comp roller. 560 to 290. It's split duration. I don't remember what the numbers are on a 112 because it's nitrous. It's set for fucking nitrous. Oh, my glasses. I can't see suddenly. Or is it my eyes?
It's both.
Okay. Caleb Howard, what are my thoughts on the diesel tuner scene? I don't really pay much attention. I'm not a diesel guy. I'm not a diesel guy. I was over at my friend Rob Bennett's shop yesterday, and one of his friends has a 71 Dodge pickup, a D100 that he come and swapped. And I was looking at it, and I was like, well, that's pretty cool. I wish I could get excited about it. I can't find it in me to be excited. And
Someone's asking your brother if he knows the whole story. They don't forget anything.
They don't
forget anything. Oh man. Let's see.
Can you suggest a good floor pan manufacturer for a 65 300 convertible? C-body pins? No, man. I have no idea. Coastal, what's going on, brother, man? Tony, the car used for the unit body video was so clean. Yeah, it's ridiculously clean. And to use C-body, guys, it's I didn't leave you out on purpose. The thing is, the C-body is different in a lot of ways, and it was just going to muddy the water to talk about the C-body in there, because the A, the B, and the E are so close together, and the vast majority of people who were into these cars and would like that information, that we stuck in the video, are going to be A body, B body, E body guys. So it's not that I don't have any love for the C bodies, but the C bodies are different and unique enough that I really couldn't include them in that particular video.
Monty Capoletti is asking how I am. I'm good, Monty. How are you?
Ultra Cathy is always good.
That's awesome. Let's see.
Can you explain carb spacers? They fit between the carburetor and the intake manifold. There's lots of theories as to how and why carb spacers work. My experience is you can't put enough of them. You know what I mean? Like you can stack them 3 feet high under a kind, and there's no diminishing returns. Carb spacers are always good. Okay, meaning I've never in my life seen a performance loss through a carb spacer or through stacked spacers. So take that for what it's worth. Why do they work? 4-hole spacers, 2-hole spacer, or 1-hole spacer, two different concepts, but mostly it's about making the mixture more, not just the mixture, the incoming charge more homogeneous. Because when the carburetor is close to the plenum, when you've got a small plenum, right, you've got pulses coming from each side of the engine that are affecting the heavier parts of the mixture, okay? So you got 8 cylinders and we're going, especially you get 5, 7, like that, right? And then, so you've got all of these varying pulses acting directly under the carburetor, and it muddies the flow, okay, or the distribution of fuel. When you put the carburetor further away from the plenum, when you increase the size of the plenum, the mixture comes through the carburetor and it has time to settle into a homogeneous unit that can then be evenly pulled by each cylinder. That's the best way I can explain them. Also, the carb spacer brings, if heat is always an issue, the cooler the intake charge, the better. And the carb spacer does act as an insulator and a place for the charge to be cool. Do I think an NOS, a nitrous setup would be good on a Magnum 440 big block? Yes.
Are you going to spring Carlo?
Not if there's any mask bullshit.
Kids are watching.
Well, the kids shouldn't go either if there's any sort of mask bullshit. Mopar 1978. Tony, does anybody on here know how to convert an 85 Buick LeSabre electronic HEI timing to basic Chevy HEI ignition? Yeah, man. Just get a pre-CCC distributor and throw it in there. You just grab a an HEI from an 85, from a 75, 76, pre-81 Buick distributor. Drop it in. Timothy Stevens, is the 600 CFM Edelbrock big enough for a 383? If you leave 2 plug wires off, yes. The 383 wants an 800 CFM minimum. It's a breathing motor. It wants to move air. Pure stress. So your Fox Body video, have you seen an EGR throttle warmer delete work per power? Yeah, that was one of the first things we did. Absolutely, it was one of the first things we did. And that was one of the ways that I got that car into the 13s. When I ended up running completely stock through the catalytic converters, stock belt, stock EC4, 0 additions, all working with the stock parts. The only thing I did with that car is pull the sway bars out. And I ended up going 1343 at 101 miles an hour with it. This is back in 1987. But one of the first steps from getting the car from the low 14s into the 13s, like there was a difference between like a 1415, like 1420, like that, and a 1395 or thereabouts, 30 something years ago. It's hard for me to remember the exact numbers. Was bypassing that water block, that. And I just took a piece of 1/4-inch copper steel tubing and just ran it underneath and plugged the two ends of the hose into it. But yes, it made a difference.
I don't know. What is your brother saying? And he's talking to Monty.
Monty, get over it. I've known Uncle Tony my whole life, and it's just his inability to stay focused and read and talk at the same time. He's not ignoring you. Yes. Yes.
This is Tony's brother.
Yeah, that's my brother, Normal James.
Monty.
Okay, Ford Man 428. Starting a big block build with a buddy, and he has a 383, 440, or 400. Which one is a good candidate to start with? Can they mix and match Beinerman parts for odd displacement, better combos? You know what? You don't have to trick yourself out of the park with that. Go with the 400. Work with the 400. That's going to give you the biggest bang for the buck. Don't try to out trick things. Yeah, you can take the 440 crank, turn it down, stick it on the 400 block, and get a set of pistons. That's a classic 451 stroker. But honestly, don't even bother. Just take that 400, do all of the textbook classic things to it, and you will be absolutely thrilled. You're going to be like, you build that 400, just do the 400, right? And if you've never done a big block Mopar before, if you've never had a Mopar experience, that's your first one, do that 400 just by textbook stuff, right? Just cam intake, headers, big carburetor on that thing, right? Good distributor, right? Good ignition, properly curved and all of that. If this is your first big block Mopar experience, just do this, the traditional things that are 400, take it for a blast, and you will be like, oh my God, I cannot believe how much power this damn thing makes.
She's somebody's brother. James, I'm not ignoring anybody. I'm trying to get as many questions as I can. I'm not ignoring anyone. James, why don't you come here and get on live? We have capabilities, for you to get on.
Can you get on?
Of course you can get on if he has the equipment. I can come on. I can put anybody on. He needs a camera and a mic. Oh, wait, where'd that go? Yeah, it's jumping around on me.
Coastal. Tony, could you please confirm that the 400 is the biggest bore of the big block Mopars? Yes. The 440 has a 4.32 bore from the factory stock, and the 400 is 4.34. So it's 20. It's the 400 block would be like a low deck version of a 20 over 440.
Jupiter Mustang Mike says dropped tire height and got into the high 13s at 100. I'm not Mustang.
Okay.
See if James will join. James, you can join if you want. Text me. Tell me if you're ready and I'll put you on. I'll send you a link.
Mike, I ran my car through the 30. I had a 308 gear, 5-speed. I ran on Gatorbacks. I ran 1360. I don't even remember exactly now. You can go. I did an article called. I did a drag test on it. It was called 5 Liters of Fury. You could find that online. There's a bunch of people that redid it. And then I did updates on that car in Cars Illustrated. So I don't remember the exact numbers, man. But I ran someplace in the mid 1360s with the stock Gatorbacks and ran the 1343s on McCreary dirt track tires.
Big Red Channel 20.
Mm-hmm.
Please tell me, I'm still in the dark. What's the damn cool can?
Oh, cool can? I don't know why they're not used more often. I don't know why I don't have one on any of my cars. The cool can was just a device that people would put under the. Okay, the cool can came into. I know I'm going to sound anti-GM or anti-Quadrajet, and I'm not. Okay, so I'm going to just tell you the history of the cool can. Okay, so when GM introduced the Quadrajet, and people started taking these cars to the drag strip with it, right? They would at 1,000 feet, the thing would just shut off, right? And would vapor lock like crazy, okay? So because of the heat characteristics, the Quadrajet has a centrally located float bowl and has a very big float and a very small reservoir. And because it's in the center of the carburetor, it doesn't get to dissipate heat. So what happens is all of the fuel going to the motor is hot, okay? So one of the first ways that guys got around that, right, to help that problem out was by using a cool can. And the cool can was Picture like a coffee can, okay? Picture a coffee can. And actually, the first cool can I ever made was made out of a coffee can. Because I was too poor to actually, spring for the $37 or whatever it was and buy a Moroso one. A cool can is just something, picture like a coffee can, and it's got steel tubing curled up inside of it, okay? And, the line comes in at the bottom, and it curls like this inside the can, and it comes out. And the can's got a lid, and you fill it with ice. And so what that does is it chills the fuel before it gets to the carburetor. So it helped with that. It helped with the heat sink issues that people were having with the Quadrajets. That was and then people started using them on everything. But the reason they came into being was because of that.
Hair on your face.
I think I have nerve damage.
Yeah.
That's nerve damage.
Is it a hair stuck in your glasses?
No, I actually have something where if you touch this side, like here, do it like right here.
Yeah. No, I see the hair. It's hanging on your face. It's stuck to your glasses.
Oh, okay.
There it is. Okay. He's driving me crazy, right?
Okay. Chris Greenaway, do you spend the day writing questions out? Do you have a list of questions?
He gets ready. Makes a list.
He's the most prepared viewer in the whole history of, Tony, why did NASCAR use G bodies? Wouldn't the F bodies have been superior for aerodynamics?
What?
He's making me dig into the parts of my brain that I don't normally use.
Okay, so digging into your brain.
So yeah, I'm digging in. I'm finding it. It's right here. Wait, it's right. Here it is behind my ear. Okay, I tap it. I get it to come forward. Come on. There it is. Okay, NASCAR was supposed to be about sedan racing, like passenger car sedans. Okay, the Firebird, the G body, the F bodies rather, were considered to be sports cars, pony cars. So yes, they would have been aerodynamic superior, but it would have been not what NASCAR was originally supposed to be.
I'm way behind. All right, let me just go to the bottom here.
Yeah. Oof.
Did you hurt your head doing that?
Yes.
Let's see.
It's the Chris Greenaway syndrome.
What?
I'm saying I have the Chris Greenaway syndrome.
Oh, because you had to dig into.
He's got at least 7 more questions.
Sure. Here.
Hello.
Hello.
Tony Anuzi. Todd. I'm tired. It's been a really long day. Easiest way to properly phase a distributor. What he's talking about, phasing a distributor, is to make sure that the rotor is lined up with the contact points at certain. Okay, every distributor is a little bit different. The way the caps are held. Okay, on the Mopar distributors, I've never had a problem where I needed to phase them. What I have found is that when you're going to lock out the advance or bring the advance in, you want to do it. You're going to lock out the advance. You want to do it with the weights all the way out, and that phases the rotor in the correct position on the cap. Other than that, I mean, I've seen guys file the notch and then put some epoxy so the cap fits that. It's kind of overrated. You've really got to have a crazy misfire thing that you can't diagnose before you're into that phasing of the distributor.
Oh no, you made Chris Greenway feel bad.
No, Chris, don't feel bad. No. Don't feel bad.
Don't feel bad. He just has a lot of.
There's a lot of questions. He has a lot of questions. Yeah. I think we're going to do the Chris Greenaway hour at some point, where we're just going to have Chris will be the only.
Don't feel bad, Chris.
Yeah, Chris, we're going to have you and I are going to have the Chris Greenaway hour, And it's just going to be us. And you're going to sit here and ask me questions for 2 hours straight. Nobody else, man. Just you and me. Kurt McGurk, thank you for 5 again. Thank you. Tony, in your estimation, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodcut could sport wood? It's hard to say, man. It depends on the. I know these days it's like everybody's gender neutral, right? But a lot of it has to do with the gender of the woodchuck. I believe the male woodchuck is able to chuck a little more, although the female might be able to chuck it faster. So it's like, are you going with the volume that the male can handle or the speed that the female can handle? I do not know. What's the overall volume of wood that a woodchuck could chuck? I'm going to say 40.
40? James Monroe. When somebody's freaking head is an exploder.
This is a test. This is a test.
Oh no, don't feel bad, Jupiter Mustang Mike.
What was he feel bad about now? Oh, dude, why are you feeling shit? Don't you feel like shit?
No,
Jupiter Mustang Mike?
We don't want Monty to feel
What did I do to make Jupiter Mustang Mike feel bad?
I don't know. I don't know.
I just think abstract thoughts I ponder just because I own a F body. Okay.
That's cool.
You're okay, Chris. Like, really, don't listen to anybody else. You're okay.
Okay. He likes the banner. Easier to follow along. I agree. It helps a lot. Wayne Grace.
Tony, first thing that comes to mind for what causes a car to surge at a constant speed. Timing. No.
Your brain okay?
Oh, he said first thing that comes to mind.
Oh.
Car surging at a constant speed. But I've had okay, too much, it's vacuum advance. Too much advance. Too much vacuum advance. If the car is surging, okay, so Wayne, you're driving down the road 40 miles an hour, let's just say, right? If you touch the gas and the surge goes away, it's your vacuum advance. Or just unplug the vacuum advance and take it for a ride and see if that surge goes away. But almost always, that's what it's going to be. Curtis, when is it necessary to degree a cam? It's never necessary. It's a step that you take. Now, I've had recently, very recently, well, I had a cam that was from the most well-known cam manufacturer on earth, right? I had a cam that was 11 degrees. It was ground 11 degrees retarded. So, and I didn't check it. I stuck it in because it was only this it was just a dot to dot deal, right? I'm not going to go crazy, right? I didn't check it. I should have checked it, but it went in there 11 degrees retarded. I couldn't get this thing to idle for shit, right? It was just it was miserable. I couldn't figure out why. Went through everything. And then finally, I popped it back off again, and it says, "Well, let me just check this here." And as it turns out, when I did check it, it was 11 degrees retarded. So you wanted it's something you want to do. It's not necessary, but it's a good idea to do it. Devin Schlack, I'd love to see a team up between you and Vice Grip Garage. The amount of fuckery would transpire with the build process. I would,
I think you give him a nervous breakdown.
Yeah, I think I would.
You too much anxiety.
I think he would.
So easygoing.
Yeah, he would end up losing it and shooting me. Honestly, he and I have two completely different operating systems. You know what I'm saying? And they're not even remotely in the same plane.
It would probably make it funny though.
It would probably make it funny.
It would be very funny.
It would probably make it funny, but tragic at the same time. Crowville, I just want to say thank you to Kathy and you for all of this. I like that you put Kathy first because that shows that you're a gentleman. You always put the female's name first.
Thank you.
For all you do for this community, I think I speak for all of us when I say it is usually appreciated. And I appreciate that too.
You guys, you are the community.
And while I do recognize that you are a gentleman, I do not identify as one myself.
You are a gentleman.
At times.
You are a gentleman. Don't let him fool you. He's like a cupcake.
Jupiter Mustang Mike says, yeah, it's fun on here. A minute ago, you were about to take the gas pipe. Now you're having fun. Okay. What rear end fit swaps into an A body? 1965 B body is almost a direct fit. Like width-wise, drum to drum, it's almost a direct fit. It's like 3/4 of an inch wider. You got to slot the perches you got to slot the perches a half inch on either side to get it to sit down in the stock A body leaf springs. 66, 67 B body is close. It's an inch and a quarter, inch and a half wider, but it'll go. Dusters, with a duster, you can use 68 and dusters and Barracudas, A-body Barracudas, because the duster has a very big wheelhouse and the Barracuda has an open wheel. You can use a 68 to 70 B-body rear in those, and they just regular bolt in. Oh, yeah, Esteban Cliche. Esteban Cliche. I'm sorry, I murdered your name. Any experience with the Suzuki GT 752 stroke? The Water Buffalo, the most disappointing motorcycle I have ever owned in my life. Now, I say disappointing only because I was a Kawasaki triple freak, okay? So, I was, the triple, right? So, I had heard about water. I'd always had a curiosity about water buffaloes, and after going through the whole thing with the Kawasaki triples, I had an opportunity to buy a water buffalo, and I was like, well, here we go, the next phase. Let's see what we can do with this thing, and it was nothing like the Kawasaki's, like nothing, right? And I re-ringed it, I jetted it, I put pipes on it, you name it. I did everything I could, and I could not get it to have that same violence that I had become like hooked on with the Cowies. What I will say about it was that it was the most comfortable cruiser I've ever had. I mean, like you'd get on that bike like 80 miles an hour, okay, and like you didn't know it was running, okay, like there was no vibration. There was no sound. It was like it was like an electric motorcycle. It just glided, down the road like that. So I'll give it that. You know what I mean? But that was my only. I only had one experience with a water buffalo, and that was it. D. Scaglione, $4.99. Thank you. God bless from New York City. How you doing there, brother? Man, you guys still locked down in that place? I feel so bad for you people. Get out of there. Get out of there. Come to Tennessee. We're happy here. It's good. Nobody's wearing. We're all good. Everything's open. We're having fun.
Okay, Chris says he likes testing you.
Oh, you test me, Chris.
If you don't have to think of a question, you always say, quit repeating the same questions. Always a technical question.
Oh, okay. Martin Hildebrand. I don't even know if I can answer this. I'm like, okay. 383, 10.5 to 1 flat top, 4-speed, street strip, 3,200 pounds, light car. Single plane, 850 double pumper, 525 lift, 255 duration at 50. So that's a pretty substantial cam. Single pattern. Your guess, total timing, and when all in. Well, if it's a 4-speed, you don't really have to worry about when it comes in. The curve is about an automatic. Okay, the curve is about how the engine is going to hit the converter. Okay, you've got a 4-speed, so you're not worried about when it's in, right? You want all of the timing in at a lower RPM than you drop on the clutch at. Just leave it at that. Okay, total timing on a 383. 383s tend to be happiest between 34 and 36 degrees. I've seen people push it to like 38 degrees, but 34 to 36 is probably going to be your happiest zone. And a lot of that's going to depend on the gearing too. If you're running a really short gear on that car, right? So let's say you get 48s, 513s like that, go to the shy side. Call it 32, 34, because at that kind of RPM, the motor is not going to want that much timing. If you're in your street strip kind of gearing range, 355 to like 430s in that range like that, then 34 to 36 degree total is probably going to be your happiest bet. I hope I answered that. Watch out, Tony. You'll wake up one day and all of New York will be here. I know. I think only the intelligent ones will be here. I think, yeah. Because there's a lot of people who are just so wandering around New York, like, thinking like there's nothing wrong. It's all okay. They'll stay there. They'll die there. Yeah. We get the high IQ people come down here. Lobo GTX. Tony, tell us about your 73 Roadrunner. Is running actually, I love that body. I parked it running and driving.
Nice.
It's the nicest driving car I think I've ever, because it's got that isolated suspension, and I left the sway bars in. It's the only car I ever had that I left the sway bars in. And it's got power steering and shit like that. It's a 4-speed car, plus go 4-speed. And it is the nicest driving car I've ever owned. But it's been parked now for about 2 years. The brake pedal's on the floor. It needs to be gone through. I have some rust issues on the top of the trunk. Weird rust issues along the where the seal goes. So once we got our handle on the current projects, that one's going to go. We're going to do a series called Roadrunner Revival, and we're going to bumper to bumper on that car, freshen everything up, and. But yeah, it runs. It's a really good running car. Okay. James White, Will Height. Tony, will a 500 CFM Edelbrock work on a 170 with a street performance cam and 355 gears in the rear? I don't think so. I would go with a vacuum secondary. Throw a 600 Holly vacuum secondary on there. The 170 is not going to want a mechanical secondary Edelbrock. It's not going to be happy. But I'm learning about the 170. If it was a 225, I would tell you screw the 500, throw a 600 on there. But yeah, the 170, I'm still learning about it. I'll know more about it once I dig in and get this Miata up and running. Javi Macias. Hey Tony, on an engine run stand, will running a wire from the battery to a single wire HI distributor with a switch in between fire up the engine or burn the unit? Or do I need a relay? No, you don't need a relay. You absolutely do not need a relay. Yeah, just wire it direct 12 volts right to the HEI. Chris Lopez. I'm on the tuning portion of my motor rebuild now. What's the proper way to tune a carb? Do you need to set timing first? Yes. You have to make sure that everything else is in order before you tackle the carburetor. So you want to get your ballpark adjustments on the carburetor. Now, when you say tuning, are you talking about just getting the right idle and the right idle mixture, or are you talking about doing jetting and everything else? But either way, the answer is tuning the carburetor is the last thing that you do. Everything else has to be in order and right. Jared Catron. Tony, is a Holly 750 too much for a 318? It's stock now, but about to cam and do some port work. No, it's not too much at all. I'll tell you right now, I had it on Bottle Rocket. I had a 750 on there, and It's okay. I switched to an 850, and the only change I made was going from the 750 to the 850, and it ran away from the clutch. The clutch couldn't handle it. So there was a very, very distinct performance improvement going from the 750 to an 850. So take that as it, that car may be a little bit different than what you're dealing with, but a 750 probably be about right.
Greetings, Eric in California.
Greetings. Don Abercrombie. Add on over underdrives any good? Transmission? I wouldn't go with an underdrive. I would put an overdrive in it if that's going to suit your purposes. I don't know about an underdrive. I would go with actual gearing, differential gearing before I would put an underdrive in. But for an overdrive, yeah.
Thank you, Fubar. Fubar posted the link to the merch.
Yeah.
We get new merch soon.
Yeah. Oh, we got cups. We got mugs.
We got mugs.
Yeah.
They're very nice.
Very nice. They're very nice.
They're very, very nice.
Oh, I wish I had one for myself, but I can't afford to keep it. I have to sell them all to get my treatments.
Treatments?
My treatments.
What kind of treatments?
The treatments.
2020. God's PC says, love you, Tom.
Oh, in a completely heterosexual way, yes, Dodge?
Yes.
Yes.
Sandy Boy wants a UTG cigarette rolling machine.
I am the UTG cigarette rolling machine. Ultra Kathy is also a cigarette rolling machine, but she's stingy with the tobacco.
The most one was a free scoop of Tang. We should do that.
I could, yeah. Well, they're coffee mugs, but you can put Tang in your coffee.
Oh. You need pencils. I know. I'm ordering a whole bunch of merch. We need a large UTG wall hanger. Like what? Like a poster or something? Let's see. Good night, Mark.
Good night, man.
What's Tang? It's what the astronauts.
It's what the astronauts drank.
It's an orange drink with
Yeah.
vitamins in it.
Yeah, it's quite good.
It's a powder mix. You buy it next to the iced tea in the supermarket. Flag or banner? Okay, flag or banner. I'll look for that.
That's a possibility.
I don't want to buy it from China though.
Yeah,
There's a problem with me searching merch because everything I see is like either you have to buy 1,000 pieces or it's I want to buy quality things. Handmade orange juice. Yeah. Coffee that's in a UTG mug.
Oh.
We get chock full of nuts.
Chock full of nuts is
Yeah,
pretty
it's
good.
Tab soda, yeah.
Uh-oh.
They're going crazy. 180 subscribers. I know.
Yeah, we just cleared 180,000.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you.
Let me comment there. Hit the sign.
Okay. We're over 2 hours. Let's see. Olive, you liked Tab because it tasted weird. It did taste weird, right? It was like Dr. Pepper gone bad. I remember that. And I don't like Dr. Pepper. Wayne Ferguson, solid Mopar rear for the Miata. No, I'm going to stick with an IR or an independent rear suspension. I'm probably going to have to upgrade it to the later one from the 1.8 motor because my car has the 1.6 and it's got a little 6-inch ring gear. So, and I'm stuck with a 430 gear. So from what I'm understanding, what people are telling me, the way I can get a 360 gear in that range is to go to the later 7-inch ring gear. So that's probably what I'll do. But I'm not gonna mess with any of that until after I've got the car up and running.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing okay.
3 hours. You did an hour before this. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's Sunday. This is the only night I get to commune with our people. So it's like,
What did I miss?
I don't even know.
You don't know? Mountain Dew? Diet soda kills the
Oh, I can't drink Mountain Dew.
I don't drink a lot of soda.
Yeah, I really very rarely drink soda.
Everyone's on Blue Moon.
I drink mostly water.
Yeah, water and Tang or iced tea.
I haven't had Tang in a while.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just been drinking regular water. I was on a seltzer kick for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
Dust Off Garage, are you going to be doing lives from the new shop? At some point, yeah. Yeah, the Sunday night thing works here good. If anything, we'll be doing the Wednesday night with Dallas. We'll probably be doing that from the shop.
Water is best, yes. And fruit juice.
Dog people can always be trusted. Cat people, not too sure about. What about werewolves? Because that would be considered a dog person.
This is true. Oh, you meant the gas station? Did you mean the gas station?
Oh, I don't even remember what the
Remember
question
when we
was.
used to do lives at the gas station?
Oh, you missed the gas station. Oh, yeah, actually, you know, we'll start doing them from outside of the house again. David Cole would not trust a werewolf. I get that. Yeah, I wouldn't either. David, you're smart.
They all are, biggest.
Your cat's a murderer. Yeah, they are. They're cold-blooded. They're vicious.
Our dogs have done it too.
Oh, it's not the
Like
same.
Chicken bunnies in the yard. They're
Cats kill for hobbyists. That's how they have their
killed my
fun.
chicken.
Oh, stop.
They killed my chicken.
Stop. Get over that. Get
The dogs
past
killed
it.
one of my chickens.
Get past it. It was a long time ago.
It was a while ago, but they did it. Let's see.
Calumnia. Calumnia.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard anything about the new Barracuda coming out? I have not. Sniper Pro. Anybody with Sniper in their name has got, you know, I like that. Sniper Pro Nerf mods. Thank you, sir. What is 79 Corvette? What should I know? It's different than other years in its own unique ways. I don't know. What would you want to know?
What do you need to know about?
I don't know. I like 79. I like that body. Benchpiece. Yesterday they had the big showdown, 2 YouTuber call out in Dallas, Texas at the Texas Motorplex with Demonology and Donkmaster. I like that car. Would you like to go to the next one if you were so inclined to do so? My biggest problem is getting away from the house because we've got dogs, we've got chickens, we got all of this stuff going on over here and nobody to mind it. So it's hard for me to just like justify, you know, hopefully that'll change in the not too distant future. But yeah, I probably wouldn't make it to that.
You would make it.
What do you
You
mean?
could make it.
What?
You would go there.
How would I get there?
We would find somebody to watch the house.
What about the dogs?
And the dogs?
I'm not leaving my dogs with somebody. Unless I trust them, unless I consider them like family, I'm not leaving my dogs with somebody.
We would find somebody.
Chris Greenaway there. Will the Garage Mahal get a hoist? You mean a lift? No. My viewers don't have a lift, and so I will not have a lift. I know 6 people here have lifts. Yeah, I have a lift, right? But the average viewer does not have a lift, so I am not going to put a lift in. Okay, Scott Kuhn, I know a lift isn't in your vision for your channel, but it would be handy at times for photography, videography purposes.
Tell me about it, Scott.
She can crawl around on the floor. If I can crawl around on the floor, she can crawl around on the floor. We're good.
I slid on that floor.
Yeah. I got her a nice floor that she could. Yeah.
I'm getting a little too old for that time. You know, a lift might be.
No.
No, you're.
It keeps you young, keeps you flexible.
On the cars.
Slide under the car.
Needs it for videos, James Olick says. That you need to look for videos.
Yeah, no, I'm not getting a lift.
It's gonna make me lay under the car.
Yep.
Get me a creeper, thanks.
Maybe a floor roller for Uncle Kathy.
Yeah.
Yeah, or I could coat the floor with grape jelly, which is slippery until it hardens. And as long as she can get out from under the car before it starts to solidify, should slide in and out.
Oh my goodness. Here's a question for you.
Todd, do you know about the Chrysler Corporation janitor with the 68 Charger packed full of secret factory stuff back in the day? They called him Cheater. Never heard of it. Did you see the Hellcat Miata? Yes, I've seen the Hellcat Miata. I think they wrecked it, actually. You will get a lift, suck it up. No, I'm not going to get a lift. No lift. Sniper Pro again. Thank you, sir. Bought it for $8,100. That seems like a lot of money for a 79 vet.
71.
What?
You said 71.
No, 79.
I think you said 71.
79. Bought it for $8,100. There is some sputtery, grindy sounds when I put a load on it around 3,500 RPM. Sometimes. I'm 18 from the city, learning what I can. Sputtery, grindy sounds when you put a load on it around 30. I can't even get. Honestly, I wish I could give you an answer, my friend. I think you need to have. There has to be somebody in your neck of the woods that has some experience with these older cars. Let them take it for a ride, because there's just no way I can give you an answer. It's too vague. Too vague. Good luck with it, though.
What is he saying?
What about Hot Dave? Sticky grape jelly on the road could be good for traction and trapping Uncle Kathy. Well, she's Ultra Kathy now. No longer Uncle Kathy. It's Ultra Kathy. Same U, right? Beginning with U, but it's Ultra Kathy. Well, I wouldn't put grape jelly on the road. It would be on the shop floor, so she could slide under the car. Have that grape jelly lube. But once it starts to harden up there, you know what I mean? It's like she may get stuck under there, which would be dangerous, because if I let the car down and she's actually stuck to the floor because of the jelly, well then, she dies. And that would be terrible. That would be terrible. Biggest Dickus. I love the video way back running around town in the bottle rocket. I was running around with it a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I guess it was. I don't know. We should have videoed that, but I didn't.
Uh-oh, we're stuck. Okay. Hang on. Thanks, Big Bear. Yeah, hit the likes. Fellow viewers. Fellow viewers.
Hey, listen, guys. We're going. I've been on since 6 o'clock. We did a live with John Wilburn before this, so I'm reaching that point where I can't really even think straight anymore. Not that ever stopped me before, right?
It doesn't stop you every day.
Right. Yeah, and I get paid for this shit, right? Who would have thought? This is the craziest thing, right? Um,
I love Monty Python. They're my favorite.
yeah. So we're gonna wrap it up, right? Um,
Okay, so the 17th?
the 17th at the shop. Yeah, it's the address of the shop.
Oh, you're like
I don't know the address of the shop.
10710.
17017 Franklin Road.
Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Right.
37128.
We're gonna start at around lunchtime, 12 o'clock or so next Saturday. So just open house.
You're gonna have grill.
Yeah, we're gonna have some grills. It's called a meat up. MEAT up means bring meat. Bring some sort of meat for the grills, right?
Hot dogs,
Bring something interesting. You know, we'll have extra. We'll have extra for people who don't know, don't come prepared or whatever. So we'll have hot dogs and hamburgers and shit like that. But bring meat. You know, that's the whole point of the meetup. You know, we all get together and just swap around a bunch of meat.
You mean cook on the grill?
It's not as weird as it sounds. We've done it before. We've done it before. It's a lot of fun. You know what I mean? It's good. So our mods, John, Ari, Fubar, Zero, the finest people that have ever graced the internet. Thank you so much. You guys keep everything running so smooth. Everybody who contributed super chat, you know, thank you. You guys keep the wheels turning here. You know, we're forever in your debt. And everybody who just contributed to conversation, you know, thank you. You know, I love the Kathy's like, you're really gonna go on again on Sunday night? And I'm like, I love these people and I want to be with them on Sunday nights.
Do that. You always used to be some sort of scapegoat.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, right. Making it up, guys.
So guys, we're gonna pull a plug. I gotta get up early and make videos.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you guys. Thanks for watching everything.
Yes, thank you. And we'll get Wednesday night. Okay, wait. Oh, I gotta plug stuff before we go, right? Okay. So John Wilburn's working on his channel. He's got that DeSoto Hemi, right? So John Wilburn. Mopar people, your Mopar people. Ron Ward has a Mopar channel now. That's called Mostly Old Parts. Okay, so go over there, like and subscribe to that. You got Dallas, ahraonline.com, right? His thing. Who else we got to plug? I know we got to plug somebody. I don't know. Just, you know what? Think of somebody who you want to see and just think of it that I said it and go there. Okay, so thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to hit this button here. It says end broadcast. Ending broadcast. Good night, everybody.